to Behind the Design. I'm Marshall Thornhill, and Mason is asleep today. So today I'm here with Lee McClure. Lee has been my spiritual mentor for a long, long time, and he's been one of those people that pat me on the butt, but also one of those people that check me and say, hey man, I don't know if I agree with that. So one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the show is because you've been a real huge inspiration to me. I'm attributing part of Mukewater Outfitters to you, so I appreciate everything that you've been there for me for. Tell us about Hilltop Real Estate.
I've been in real estate for about 3 years, a little over 3 years. It'll be 3 years in February. And before that, I was a pastor for 18 years. But I made the transition about 3 years ago, and it's been phenomenal. The reason I got into real estate, just short version, is I felt God calling me to do ministry a different way. I've been doing it for over 3 years, and I started a group called the Hilltop Real Estate Group. And the reason I named it that is based off Matthew 5:14 through 16, that says we as believers should be like a light that is like a city on a hill, that we should not hide our light under a lampstand, but we should put it on the table to be seen by others. And I noticed this very quickly, almost wanting to hide my light, wanting to conceal my light, wanting to blend in, because I've always been in the spotlight.
Right.
And I kind of liked not being in the spotlight and people not knowing who I was. And I felt like the Lord was saying, hey, I called you into the business world to be a light. Don't hide it. In my business, I want to do things in a way that is ethical, in a way that would honor God, in a way that glorifies Him, and that would honor my family. And I learned that that's not always easy to do when you're in business.
That's not always the easy route, right? We've had some difficult conversations about how you're going to bring God into those relationships with, clients, because, that's not your job title, but that's your calling. I love that you keep God first in every part of the business, from the name down to just sharing His word with, everybody that you get to come in light with. So tell me a little bit about why real estate.
I was called into ministry at 15 years old. I was groomed, I was educated in it, I had experience in it, never thought I'd do anything else. So the thought of seriously changing professions gave me a lot of anxiety. After praying and fasting for a week, still blank slate. It was like nothing was on the drawing board. I'm going to a Texas Tech football game, and I'm talking to a friend of mine. His name is Tannen Nauert, and Tannen and I were speaking, and I was just saying, hey, man, nobody knows this yet, but I'm about to walk away from vocational ministry and get into some kind of business, and I don't know what that is. And so he prayed for me in the car, and as we walked up to the stadium, we noticed some friends at a tailgate. So we kind of veer off to that tailgate to speak to the friends that we had in common. And one of the girls there is a realtor. Her name is Jennifer Colley. And I noticed that just through social media, she seemed to have a successful real estate career. So I asked her, well, you're doing real estate, seems to be working for you. What do you think about me doing something like that? She began to speak into me some life of, man, this is why I love it. And yes, I can see you doing this and killing it. I walked away from that conversation, and the weights lifted. And I looked over to Tan and I said, dude, God answered our prayer. Like, I know exactly what I need to do now. I'm going to be a realtor.
How important is that to be obedient, to God's calling, but for entrepreneurs out there to speak life into other entrepreneurs? Tell me about kind of what's going on now, and then where you see the business going in the future.
I'm facing another obstacle of fear and anxiety, because I know my business cannot continue to grow if I don't make a hire, because I can't manage all the business on my own. I was told recently I'm a perfectionist, and that's what's holding me back, is I want everything laid out perfectly before I take that step, and it never will be. And I just have to take it. And so I have a lot of advocates in my corner saying, Lee, you got to do it, man.
Yeah.
You can't keep doing this. My wife is saying, Lee, you got to do it. Like, our family needs you to. And so I'm trying to overcome that fear, to make my hire and to continue to grow as a business, and to have more sustainable boundaries for my family and for myself.
Right. It's a tough call to make a lot of those decisions. So long term, you see this is a life thing for you. You love real estate. Tell me kind of what you love about it.
At this point, I don't foresee myself leaving real estate. I feel like I'm going to be in it for the long haul. And I've really enjoyed the opportunities it's given my family financially, and it's given me lots of opportunities to minister to people. What I see now is that God has strategically put me in a place to make a difference, to make an impact, and to influence people for the better, and to hopefully lead them into a deeper relationship with Jesus. That's why I'm here.
Tell me about when you like just signing on the dotted line of your first house and kind of the feeling of, because you don't automatically walk in day one and they hand you a listing and then you go out and sell it. And it was, there was probably a lot of time leading up to it and zero security, right? I mean, they don't offer you a sign-on package that you get to live in and pay your mortgage with for a few months. So kind of tell me that struggle of worrying until it happens and then how that felt.
Sure. Well, for me, going into real estate, there was no safety net. We had very, 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 very small savings, right? Maybe for a month, which was a driver for me.
Sure.
Right? I mean, I was motivated that way because there was no other option for me. But anyway, about 3 months in, I had my first closing. And it was awesome to see a family move into their first home.
So getting that first closing, it had to be a sense of affirmation, like, okay, I can do this. What's next? Like, how did that feeling go?
What I've realized is every transaction's different, and it started with the first one, but they all build on each other. So my knowledge, my experience grows with every transaction because they're all different. You're dealing with different personalities, different policies, different negotiations, different contracts. As you build on each success of a closing, you're building your business, right? And so with that comes a lot of confidence.
Real estate is a big deal right now. What would you tell somebody maybe considering getting into the game?
I would just say, if you're going to do it, have a good savings, because it takes a while to build your business. They say it's a 90-day business. So once you start working with a client, it could be 90 days before closing or longer. There's some that I nurtured for 2 years before anything happened. I'd also say interview some brokerages. I love KW. I could sell you on that in a heartbeat. If you want to have a conversation, I'd love to have it with you.
But that wasn't the case in the beginning, right? I think we talked about, you kind of had your mindset on one and went to the other. So the interviewing thing is important.
It is, because I was going to go just where I had a relationship, and I think it would have been great, but I was persuaded by two realtors to go to Keller Williams and to talk to their leadership. And before I left, I knew I was going to go there.
You're building Hilltop Real Estate Group within Keller Williams. Kind of explain how that works, because I don't even really fully understand it.
So essentially, as a realtor, I fall under a brokerage, and I'm a single agent. But if I start a team, and once I have an assistant and maybe a full-time a transaction coordinator as well, that's going to support agents under me. And so I could bring on, some buyer agents or some listing agents or both that come on my team, and I could have something to offer them of value. But that's kind of the deal, is I would still be under a brokerage, but I would have my own team of people that's going to help grow my business and help support and grow the business of those under me.
So is it its own entity, or is it still kind of a sole proprietorship? How does that look?
Yeah, so we're considered self-employed.
Okay.
So even though we work with the brokerage, we're basically contracted. And what you do is you're paying to be in a brokerage that has notoriety, that has a big network internationally, that has incredible technology, that has an office space. And so there's some things like that bring great value. The training and coaching at Keller Williams is tremendous. And so that's the reason a lot of new agents go there, is because they can experience a lot of growth exponentially by being there versus some other brokerages that don't have that.
Saying that you're self-employed from a business structure, a tax structure, kind of sounds scary, maybe to somebody that doesn't necessarily understand it. Did you hire an accountant? Were you able to navigate some of that stuff yourself?
Probably the most important thing I did is I talked to our team lead at Keller Williams and asked her, how should I structure my finances? She really helped me understand what accounts to set up and how you need to distribute the funds from those accounts, how much needs to go towards taxes, how much needs to go towards your business, how much you need to distribute towards your family, your savings, your retirement plans, investment properties. And so she kind of helped me understand, here's a structure you can do with your finances that's going to help you.
What advice would you give yourself, starting out?
Man, I don't know. I don't know that I would change a thing. I think there's something about being in moments of desperation and great need where it magnifies where that help can come from. And so I reached out to the Lord and asked for help. I think we can easily become very self-sufficient and give ourselves a little too much credit for our success. It would be easy to forget where all of it started. If I'm not careful, then I lost my way.
Absolutely. You know, as things are kind of starting to take off, it is easy to forget the little things. You know, I vow to pray over every single item that goes out. And I mean, I can't tell you how many times like I've been on the way to the post office to drop off packages and like vowed to pray over these things. And I'll sit in the parking lot at the post office and just hug the packages and just pray over them, because, you know, you get lost in why, you know, there's just so many other things, you know, and I'm a one-man show. And so when those orders come in, it's me that fills them. It's me that packages them, writing, you know, handwritten notes on there. It's also me that's designing and printing and coming up with the next items. And so it's easy to get lost in those things. Any last words of advice?
Yeah, I would say first, seek clarification from those you care about, those that know you really well. Get their input, get their honest feedback. And if they feel like, you know, that's a good fit and you would be good in that trade or whatever business that may be, and if you're a person of faith, you feel like the Lord's validating that, then step out of the boat and do it. And place your trust in Him that He's going to provide.
I don't know if I've ever actually told this story about the day that I was looking for this clarification from God about this store. At the time, I was running favors. I was doing favor. I was delivering food and groceries in the middle of the day. When I had Mukewater Creative, my assistant at the time, I'd ask her what's wrong, and she'd say, "I'm fine. It's fine. Everything's fine." You know, like she was really good about, like, she just handled stuff. So I ended up making a dozen shirts that said, "It's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine." And I'll never forget, I was pulling up to Walmart to pick up groceries, running a favor, and this lady walked out of Walmart wearing that shirt. "It's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine." And it was like immediately like God telling me, it's fine. Everything's fine. When we have a storefront, I'm going to frame that shirt, because that shirt was the day that I got that clarification. And it was important to me. Well, I really appreciate you being on. Again, I think that you are a pretty big influence on a lot of those around you. Thanks for being on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, bro.
And again, we'll definitely make sure to provide you Lee's contact information if you're interested in buying or selling a house. That's all we have for today. Definitely check back with us soon. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Sign up for our email so you can get early looks at these videos and our collections that are coming out. Check back with us next week. We're going to have another great guest that I'm excited to learn about. So that's it for this week. Cheers.